And welcome to Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. I am Shanrae, and this is where I am on week 1, part 2 of change. We talked about Tuesday night. Are you ready to change, or are you ready for change? Tonight is part 2. Tuesday night, it was so awesome. It was really explosive. We had such a wonderful turnout. Good evening, everybody, and on my Instagram family, my Facebook family, my YouTube family. Good evening, Lethea, Miss Sean, Javon. Good evening, everybody. Tuesday night was explosive. This is only a 30-minute platform, so I want to go on and get started. Now, this is an open platform. If you want to share any life scenarios, I will pause and talk about it. If you have any questions, I will stop and I will answer them for you. Okay, so excuse me, I'm working so many different platforms right now, but it's so good to see everybody. Let me start with my website disclaimer. Excuse me. And sometimes I go overboard and I just forget to move my PowerPoints. But my website counseling disclaimer is, please be aware that due to the nature of the technology that I'm using, there can be no assurance of confidentiality when using this online service. It should also be noted that due to changes in policies, all replies are to be used as advisory and informational only, and will not constitute an official determination. Information provided by me are subject to limitations of current and available material, but the final responsibility for successfully achieving a goal rests with you. Information online is designed to be helpful. However, this information changes frequently, and it is recommended that you consult another physician, another specialist, or a religious leader to aid you in your overall behavioral wellness. Let me move this along. I am a degreed counselor, and I acquired my degrees from Ashford University. My great passion is bringing healing to people who have been through traumatic or stressful experiences in their lives. And so when we experience trauma or severe life stressors, it's not uncommon for us to feel like our lives are unraveling. And so my goal, my desire is to help clients who include children, adults, and family members to find healthy perceptions of themselves, to help them strengthen their relationships, and to also help them realize, to know themselves as peaceful, complete, whole, and safe. All right, so let's move this along. I'm also a Christian counselor. So the scripture that I'll be referencing for the entire month of February, it comes from, Deuteronomy 31:6, the NIV version, or the New International Version. And it says to be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you, nor will he forsake you. Now, I'm not trying to shove my beliefs down anybody's throat. I am a Christian counselor. So this is my routine, what I do. All right, so let's move on to our key points for tonight. And then we're going to do a brief review about Tuesday, because Tuesday night was explosive. The beginning of the month, we'll be talking about change throughout the month. And so we're going to, let me move on to our key points. And then I'm going to do a quick synopsis of Tuesday night. And then we're going to move further for tonight for part 2. So our key points, and I'm going to skip the definition of change. I'm going to skip that. The key points for tonight are acceptance based and mindfulness therapies are used acceptance to refer to experience reality as it is. The concept of acceptance can be misunderstood as putting up with a bad situation, but it is not. Another way to think about acceptance is as radically acknowledging the current situation. And both individual and social change requires radically acknowledging where you are now. So, our topic for tonight is making sense of acceptance when it comes to change. Okay, making sense of acceptance when it comes to change. And this is by Dr. Anne DePrince. This theory is referenced by Dr. Anne DePrince. Now, I want to go over what we talked about on Tuesday night. Again, Tuesday night was explosive. The topic was, are you ready for change? Or are you ready to change? That was it. And we gave 5 different stages of when someone decides that they're going to change. The first stage was the pre-contemplation stage. And that stage is this denial. When a person is completely in denial, ain't nothing wrong with me, it's them, it's everybody else, it ain't me. It ain't me. That's the pre-contemplation stage, where you keep running into the same, you keep falling in the same hole, but it ain't you though. Everywhere you go, you can move from state to state to state. You fall in the same hole, you are the same situation, but it ain't you. That's that pre-contemplation stage, right? Okay. Number 2 was the contemplation stage, where, okay, you know what? I guess it is me. Are you starting to realize, oh, wow, yeah, it is me. I mean, every situation that I get, every French, it's me. That number 2, that contemplation stage is where you start realizing, well, it is me. And I guess if I want to have a different time, a different life, if I want to have a better lifestyle, I think I better do something about it. You know, I can use an example about when somebody all of a sudden gets very ill. They're diagnosed maybe with a heart condition, or they're diagnosed with diabetes. And the doctor tells them, if you want to have success in life, you got to change the way you eat. You have to change your diet. And so there are people that sit there and say, listen, I'll just take this shot. I'll take this insulin, but I'm gonna still do what I want to do. And their condition gets worse because they feel like that shot is gonna regulate everything, but you still eating bad though. Okay, all right. So that's that contemplation stage where I gotta change something, but they not fully on board. Number 3 was that preparation stage, where they starting to say, you know what, I'm gonna have to start implementing some things. I'm gonna have to start taking action and doing things differently if I want better results, right? So that's stage 3, that preparation stage. Stage 4 was that action stage. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I'm telling you, I can't wait to see the results of what I'm doing to have a better life for me, a better life. I have a song, a better life for me, and so that's that daggone action stage where people like, I'm doing this because I want a better life for me. That's stage 4. Stage 5 was the maintenance stage, where you are actively making changes for your betterment. But then you're gonna have some slips and some falls, like Donnie McClurkin said, we fall down, but we get up. That I'm a little hoarse, y'all. So I mean, that's just our reality. While we're in this maintenance stage and we're doing what we're doing, like someone that's on a new nutritional routine, I don't like to say diet, a new nutritional routine, they start eating better, they start exercising, they start doing things, but then they fall off a little bit. They're going to eat bad for 1 weekend. They go on vacation and they just cut up. They just throw everything out the window. And then when they get home, I'm still trying to get over my vacation. So a week go by, you still eating bad and stuff like that. But after about a week, you like, you know what? I done gained 5 pounds. I got to get back on the ball. So because I was looking good. Now my clothes are snug on me. I got to get back on it. That's that maintenance stage where you've implemented, you put them actions, you're doing it. You have some slips, and then you get back on the horse. So that's what we talked about when it came to change on Tuesday. Tonight, we're going to incorporate with Dr. Ann and how she talks about practicing radical acceptance, because that radical acceptance is what's going to help us stay on the right course. All right, with change. This is the top of the year, 2025. Everybody have their own personal goals, what they want to do, how they want to do it in order to get better, to be the best version of you. We're constantly changing. We should be constantly changing for the better, not for the worse. Okay. And so this is the top of the year. And I wanted to implement, and I wanted to give some strategies that will kind of help us in whatever area that we want to improve in. These different strategies that will kind of give us some motivation to move to closer towards reaching and meeting our goals. All right, so Tuesday night, we talked about those 5 different stages again when it comes to change. That pre-contemplation stage was the denial. The contemplation stage, where number 2, where you realize, oh God, it is me. That preparation stage is like, I'm gonna have to start. Let me figure out what's going to work for me to help me be a better person. That action stage, number 4, is where you just gung-ho and you doing it. You doing it. Like say you trying to get on your new exercise routine. That's that. And number 5 is you are all in. You on that, you doing that, maintaining it. You doing it. You have some little slips here and there. Okay. But this is it. Let me move on. So tonight, again, we're talking about practicing radical acceptance, because again, when it comes down to that maintenance stage, we're going to have to realize that even when we slip, we're realizing that we're slipping back to the old behavioral patterns. And so that radical acceptance is going to help us keep focused on our goal, keep us motivated on continuing to work and to move on towards the change for us, that better change for us. So Dr. Ann says, practice radical acceptance. She said this advice shows up all over the place. It shows up on memes when we're watching memes. It shows up in self-help columns. It shows up in pages in books. And in those that practice mindfulness, it shows up there even in mindfulness. She said this is good advice to practice radical acceptance. In line with an ever-growing literature that documents the benefits of mindfulness and acceptance-based theories. So at first pass, Dr. Ann says, calls to acceptance can be misunderstood. Okay, so she found, for example, that the advice can sometimes be heard as asking people to resign themselves from that difficult situation. For instance, a husband and wife, there's some bad habits that one or two of them may have, and there's always a constant argument going on. Always a constant argument going on. This keeps happening because you keep doing this. All right, so what, like Dr. Ann was saying, she said a radical acceptance is as asking people to resign themselves from that difficult situation that they're putting themselves and their family members, whoever's closest to them, in because of that poor behavior pattern. Alethea in Instagram land said, "Amen." And so Dr. Ann says that acceptance means a sort of begrudging tolerance. She said in the wake of that misunderstanding, talking about radical acknowledgement can help get to the heart of the matter. So to break that down in layman's terms, when a lot of times when people are having passionate conversations about negative behavior patterns, what Dr. Ann is saying is that acknowledging, instead of going along with the mess, and when you start pointing out stuff that can be better, acknowledging it helps get people closer to the heart of the actual issue that matter. So number 1, Dr. Ann says defining acceptance. And see, I'm steadily talking and I ain't moving my PowerPoint. Look at that. Look at that. Defining acceptance. That's number one. She said when she first encountered acceptance as a component of, and this is a theory. This is a theory. It's the DBT theory, or the dialectical behavior therapy. She said through the concept is rooted. This theory is rooted in Buddhism. Okay. She said it's a form of mindfulness, but it is acceptance-based interventions such as acceptance and commitment therapy. So there are people where that this type of therapy, dialectical behavior therapy, this really works for them because it's an acceptance and a commitment type of therapy where you accept that you do have these bad behaviors, and now you're committing to working towards changing those behaviors. That's what the DBT or the dialectical behavior therapy is. Okay, you're accepting that something is not right. For instance, someone that's an addict, they're accepting that they are an addict, and now they're committing to sobriety. Okay, so Dr. Ann says that definitions of acceptance converge around the ideas of experiencing thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations as they are. So a lot of times when negative behavior I'm going to stick with negative behavior. When people continue to practice negative behavior, okay, what Dr. Ann is saying is that there's a thought pattern that goes along with that negative behavior. Okay, there are emotions that are stirred up when that negative behavior is going on. And there are also bold sensations that people occur when these negative patterns are going on. And so she says, without trying to control, avoid, or change them, she said, when you accept this, and when you start looking and realizing, when you start noticing yourself, the different triggers, it's called triggers. Because before something come out or before something happens, there's a thought that you're going to think about it first. You're going to be like, the thought is going to start forming in your mind first. And then the action is going to occur, right? Okay, so this is what she's saying. She's saying, go on and think. She said, think it through. Think it through. That's what Dr. Ann is saying. She said radical acceptance also goes further. It's the complete and total openness to the facts of reality that you are, or the person is, in which open to fully experiencing the reality as it is in the moment. So again, it starts in the mind, and then it moves out. So even when it's a trigger, you start realizing, wait a minute, okay, before I act on this thought, I'm realizing this is a natural thing for me to think this way, and it's been a natural thing for me to react this way. And then you start checking yourself, like, okay, I need to start thinking about a different way of doing something, rather than doing it the familiar way. This is what Dr. Ann is talking about. Number two, she said the experiences as they are. So Dr. Ann was saying that accepting reality as it is makes sense once we start to recognize how much energy we're putting into these negative behavior patterns. Alicia in Instagram land said, right, a thought, exactly, because everything starts here in the head when you're thinking it. But then when it's almost as if you can't even control your actions. That's not a good place to be. If you're having these thought patterns, and then you're acting on them, and you know that these are negative things, they're not positive things to do, and if you're doing it as if you have no control, then yes, it is imperative that you seek help. Because that's how you ruin your life, and you ruin other people's lives by doing this. Alethea says, right, sometimes familiarity is not good. No, most of the time familiarity is not good. When you're familiar, it's not. It really isn't. And when we realize this, it is so imperative to start implementing change. It's called growth. It's called growth. And when you start realizing that you're growing, and when other people start realizing that you're growing. I said this on Tuesday night. A person that sits there and says that, oh, I've changed, I'm different, I've changed. But the people that are affiliated with them are saying, you're no different than you was 30 years ago. You still that same dude, or you still that same person. But these people are not lying. But when people start seeing that, yes, wow, you have truly, you're a different person. That's how you know that there's growth. Alethea said growth. That's right. She said loves it. That's right. Everybody is supposed to grow. Something is wrong if you don't grow. Physically, mentally, emotionally, there is something wrong if you do not grow. And this is what Dr. Ann is talking about. She said, experience these things as they are. When you start realizing when certain situations that your thinking pattern is not very positive, and then but you still act on it, you still do the something is, you need to, that's when we need to seek help, therapy. She said, you preaching now. You're funny. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's when really and truly you need to seek therapy to help to teach you how to retrain your thought pattern, how to retrain your brain so you can be the best you can be. To me, I said it comically on Tuesday night. You know how you see people get older in their 80s, 70s, 80s, and then all of a sudden they give yourself to Jesus. They get saved at the end of their life, and then they dead. Then they wind up closing their eyes and going to be with the Lord a year or two later. They spent their whole life just what we call being a hellraiser, and then they're gonna wait till just almost dust. And then they gonna give themselves so they can ensure that they go to heaven. But they spend an entire lifetime doing the wrong thing. Oh my gosh, that's not good. That is not good at all. This life here is a gift. And we were not created to be a walking, talking failure our entire lives. That's not who we were created to be at all. Everybody is supposed to be the best version, work towards the best version of who they can be. You are supposed to be Maslow's or these different, I'm thinking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I got all this running together. But we are supposed to self-actualize. I meant what I was saying about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There's a triangle called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And you got the bottom tier going up to the top tier. And you are supposed to master every last one of these things in your life during different stages in your life. You're not supposed to spend your entire life falling in the same hole, doing the same thing, the same negative patterns over and over again. And every time you look up, you're a year older and you're still no further and no better than what you was when you was a teenager. Something is wrong. Okay. So like Dr. Ann was saying, let me move back to this. Oops, I'm sorry. Like Dr. Ann was saying, yes, experience where you are, experience those thoughts. These things may not go away right away, but recognize your behavior, your thought pattern before it comes out of your behavior. Okay, Lethea said it must be said because a lot of Christians hide behind scripture instead of really changing, and it's growing. Oh my gosh, I was just talking to a coworker about that on yesterday. And I said, it's easy to talk the talk. But when you're not walking that walk, it rolls over into failure. Because people are looking at your behavior. They're looking at your behavior patterns. And if your behavior patterns shows a lack of growth, shows immaturity, shows where you no integrity, unintegrous, and you're just known for this. There are some people that are just known to be liars. You can't believe nothing they say. I talked about that on Tuesday night. We had a good start on Tuesday night, and the people were talking. I said, what is it? What is it called when somebody says that they're going to do something and they don't do it? The answers was flying out. Use a lie. People were saying, liar, pants on fire. If you realize that you have a habit of saying that you're going to do something and don't do it, that means that you are making a reputation for yourself for being a liar. And then you got the nerve to get insulted or feel wounded when somebody calls you out. And they say, no, you can't believe nothing that lie say. That thing lie. You can't believe nothing they say. Yes. Alethea says self-sabotage. Self-sabotage. But see, it goes further than that. A lot of that crosses over into narcissistic behavior. We hit on that a little bit on Tuesday night too. There are a lot of people out there that know that they should change, but they refuse to do it, and they do it because they don't want to prove somebody else right. Because when people point out, you should be better than this. You should be better than this. You should do better than this. Now they get upset. I'm gonna do what I want to do. And that moves into narcissistic behavior. I'm gonna do what I want to do, and you should reap everything that you get from doing what you want to do. Every time you turn around, people are gonna sit there and say that person there, you can't trust them as far as you can throw them. You know what I'm saying? There are some people that fight to be this way. Okay. And that's also your right as well. Okay, so number 3, Dr. Ann says from acknowledgement to action. So now, again, she's saying the same thing Dr. Parker was saying on Tuesday night. You now acknowledge that there's a problem. Now we're moving into action. She says for her, talking about radically acknowledging reality has offered a way around misunderstandings about what acceptance means. Okay, to radically acknowledge something invokes being active and engaged, honest and authentic, totally awake and brave enough to look deeply at ourselves and the world around us in this moment and saying, I'm going to change. That's what Dr. Ann is saying. Okay, she said, of course, building something different, change for the future requires understanding right where you are right now. If you understand that this is where you are right now, then you understand I got to do something to change. Hey, Rita, hi, is that Nita? Hey, Nita, how are you? Hey, is that Miss Rowe? Hey, Miss Rowe, how are you? So that's what she's saying. Dr. Ann is saying. Okay. You're radically acknowledging this is where you've been. This is what you've done. And now it's time for change. She says, like individual change requires that we radically acknowledge the reality of the situation that we're in or the situation that we've been causing. Okay, and that situation that we completely keep finding ourselves in. There are some people that they on that hamster wheel. I promise you, every time you turn around, the same situation. You need to go and seek therapy, some help, so to help you build strategies on how you can implement this change. First, you'll be able to notice the triggers. You start recognizing your thought patterns, and then putting a stop to the negative behavior, and then automatically replacing a positive behavior from that negative behavior, so your life can start going up instead of continuing spiraling down. This is what Dr. Ann is saying. She says, okay, so again, She said, individual change requires that we radically acknowledge the reality of the situation in which you find yourself. She said, DBT therapy have been created to help people, which is dialectical behavioral therapy, which is where the therapy is where you accept the things that you've done, accept the mindset that you have, but then you commit to change. You commit to changing for the better. That's what she's saying. How this Dr. Ann is saying how doing stuff of these strategies will help improve your lifestyle and help that. So I want to get right back around to the tips that Dr. Parker had gave. And let me move this along. Dr. Parker had given on Tuesday night. I'm gonna go through this, y'all. I've been talking and I haven't been moving my PowerPoint. Okay, hey, I said, hey, Nita. So Dr. Parker on Tuesday night left us with 12 tips. Number one, he says to commit yourself to becoming your best self. Oh, I like that. And at the same time, be specific and clear about what you want to do. How you going to do, okay? Number two, Dr. Parker says you cannot eliminate a bad behavior, which I don't agree with that. Yes, you can eliminate a bad behavior. You can eliminate it by replacing that bad behavior with a good behavior. All right. I think what he was trying to say is that mindset will always try to resurface. We know as Christian believers, we know that the devil will try to put things in your mind, that old mindset back into your head. But we have to acknowledge what is going on and say the devil is a lie. I'm not doing this. I'm going to continue to do the right thing, even if I'm the only one that's doing the right thing. Okay. Number three, Dr. Parker says to know your why. Know why you want to make these changes. Okay. The benefits of making this and the benefits of making the change. Number four, he says be willing to pay the price of change. He said, number five, meet yourself where you are and slowly progress towards changing. Number six, he says to start small and then increase gradually. Break down your goals into smaller and smaller steps until it becomes manageable or until it becomes like just your first nature. Okay. Number seven, he says have self-compassion and be gentle with yourself. Remember that shaming yourself destroys your willpower. So don't do that. Okay. Anita said, hey. Number eight, commitment. What we just talked about, that DBT, that dialectical behavior therapy. Commitment, consistency, and patience are fundamentals of the change process. I'm going to say that again. Commitment, consistency, and patience are fundamentals of the change process. Number nine, he says, if you slip, that's that maintenance stage. If you slip, challenge yourself to do better next time. Number 10, when you relapse, forgive yourself, but remember the lessons that you learned from it. I'm going to say that again. And what is it? Hi, CJ. How are you? Hey, CJ. I'm going to say this again. When you do, because it's not if, it's when. When you do relapse, okay? Forgive yourself, but remember the lessons. Remember the lessons, okay? Remember your lessons and learn from that, okay? Number 11, bring a positive and best effort attitude. When you're committing to change, that DBT, dialectical behavior therapy, you're going to accept it and then you're going to commit to the change. Number 12, focus on commitment to the process and not to the results. So your commitment is to the process of continually working towards that change, the change for the better, and not the results. Yeah, the results do help when you run into somebody, an old friend, and they be like, oh my God, I heard that you are different. But I mean, I see you really are a different person now. See, it makes you feel better. It does. But we want you to focus on a commitment to the process of change rather than doing it for the rewards. Okay. Because the best reward is knowing that you and yourself, that you truly are working towards being the best version of you there is. We only have one life, guys. And like I say, every quarter when I do my counsel today with Shanrae, I always see the glass half full, not half empty. I know that we all can overcome whatever negative patterns or behaviors. We can overcome it. Whatever negative thought patterns, we can overcome them and become the best versions of ourselves. I'm telling you, I strongly believe that. Okay, my time is up. The takeaway for tonight says accepting reality as it is makes sense once we start to recognize how much energy goes into and how much suffering comes out of fighting reality. Okay. And our quote, let me move on to the quote. Our quote for tonight is, by changing nothing, nothing changes. And this is Tony Robbins who said this. Okay. By changing nothing, nothing changes. How many people do we know? Or even think about your own self. Someone who has never changed anything. Because they ain't changed nothing. They haven't changed anything, so nothing changed. That's why they're still in the same situation. Okay? So Tony Robbins says, by changing nothing, nothing changes. All right, so let me move this on. Let me open this up for my fellow theorists and counselors. This is my website references. This is where I got all of my studies from. Tonight was Dr. Ann. On Tuesday night was Dr. Parker, where I got this from. Let me move this on. I do not get a dime. I don't get a dime for sharing it, but I believe in sharing. There's a lot of help out there. Better Up. Create a personal and professional transformation through expert life coaching. If you're looking for a life coach, www.betterup.com. All right, next one is Ada Plus Community, empowering adults with ADD, ADHD, OCD to live their best lives. It says a different brain requires a different approach. ADDA Plus Community. All right, where we at? 988 Crisis Health Line. Okay, so connect with people that you can trust. If you're struggling or you know someone that is struggling, it's okay to share your feelings. The 988 Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people who are in distress, prevention and crisis resources for you or your loved ones, and the best practices for professionals in the United States. 988 Crisis Helpline. All right, and this is BetterHelp. www.betterhelp.com. So if you want a safe space to speak with a licensed professional online, BetterHelp offers affordable counseling sessions for individuals, couples, and family members. www.betterhelp.com. Let me move this along. Learning RX. If you're looking to work on your learning and thinking skills, brain training is the perfect fit for your goals. All right. So brain training offers a way to strengthen your thinking skills. So the average graduate of Learning RX improves their IQ by at least 13 points during this period of the brain training. Okay, and brain training is made significant gains in skills like your working memory, your long-term memory, and your attention. Learning RX, that is www.learningrx.com, adult tutoring and brain training. All right, so if you're interested in professional one-on-one counseling services, feel free to contact me via my Facebook Messenger at Shanrae Owens, or you can contact me via email at shanrae.price@gmail.com. I'm a lifestyle strategist, and my aim is to aid you in your life's goals and your life dreams. If you want to rewatch, or if you missed any of like Tuesday night, if you want to rewatch that, go to my YouTube channel at Shanrae Price, like, subscribe, hit the bell, and then go through the Counsel of the Day, my Counsel of Day sessions, and you click on it and watch it. All righty then. Well, Thank y'all. I will see you all next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to still be talking about change, but a different subtopic. Thank y'all over there in Instagram land. Thank you in Facebook land. Thank you in YouTube. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. Be safe. I will see y'all next Tuesday night. Same topic, but a different subtopic then. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. And I will see y'all then. Good night, guys.